And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Market Recap. Wednesday, June the 8th, the last recap of the week this week. My name's John. Hopefully you've had a good trading day. Thanks for joining me at the end of the day today. I'd like to just relax a little bit, kind of unwind a little bit, talk about the markets a little bit, and see how things are going for you. As far as the markets, crude oil, 2 million barrel inventory increase, not enough to stop balance breakout to the upside. Just looking at the monthly chart, 148.60 was the July 2008 high. I wonder if we're heading that way. I'm really hoping we're not. As far as the E-mini S&P is concerned, the late spike base was penetrated. A kind of a good example of how rollover prices go sometimes a little too far, sometimes not far enough. But after all, the late spike rules did rule, and we resolved to the downside. The NASDAQ, the late spike, actually took out the high of the price, I should say, actually took out the high of the late spike before the market resolved back to the downside. Gold, another random walk continued today, and just still staying range bound. The euro, same situation. Random walk, continuing in value, in balance. The 10-year overnight inventory adjusted basically value area still remains lower. And the nat gas, apparently an explosion at a liquid natural gas facility in Fremont, Texas, has some concern that that plant is preparing liquid natural gas for export. If the export abilities of that plant have been damaged, then all of that natural gas is going to have to remain here in the United States for a while. That's going to really kind of put a pretty big squeeze on Europe and Asia that are depending on a lot of that natural gas from us. So kind of a scary thing, not a good thing, of course, for Europe and for Asia. Stocks fell about 1% as the talking heads talked about investor concern about U.S. economy slowdown, blah, 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 the stuff that we're all fully aware of. But it really didn't move much. We're still range-bound, and we're still in a range-bound, rollover range-bound type of situation. Mortgage demands have dropped to 22-year lows as rates have continued to rise. And I guess Twitter is planning a shareholder vote by August about the sale to Elon Musk, if that's even still on the table. As always, make sure you hit the lucky like button, share, comment, question, feedback, heckling, and love are always welcome here on the recap. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and get notifications when we do go live. I hope you had a good trading day. I see some comments here, some good, some bad, and that seems to be the way of the land as far as futures trading is concerned. Brett, first in the room this afternoon, you win the prize. I'm glad you enjoyed the group coaching today. I love talking about profiles, and helping people understand the profiles is very important to me, I think. And Spence broke a rule in his combine today, might trade in sim for a week before he resets to make sure he can behave. It's not a bad idea, Spencer. Was putting on too much size today and kept doing it. Couldn't afford the trades I was making, blew my daily loss limit. We all have done that. I know I have done that more times than I care to remember. Markets were accommodating for Brody today. That's nice. Tachyon lost 677 for the combine. Learn to test new indicators in practice. 100%. Yeah, you don't want to be changing things and trying it out in the trading combine, or God forbid, in your funded account. Tachyon wants to try the pitchforks. Spencer is also curious about them. Now, I know, Tachyon, you put the Language of Markets channel. The guy's name that Matt Hoyt, our good friend Matt Hoyt, brought up and showed everybody the pitchforks. It was Shane Blankenship. Shane Blankenship. And again, Language of Markets. Yes, definitely check that out, Spencer. Bill, good afternoon, Scott Saw, and hopefully you conquered. Crabapple bodaciously bitter fruits. Huh. That's a heck of a name there. Good afternoon. Got chopped up and spit out trying to buy low and sell high. Vince, you need a vacation. Things are going to look different when you come back. I assure you. James, good afternoon. Bad start to step 2 down to 800. Reflect, think, start again tomorrow. Oh, sorry about that, James. When we do step up, when we go from sim to step 1 of the trading combine, it changes things. It changes our decision-making process. And every step we take towards getting funded or being funded changes our decision-making process. It's a really so important to remain true to your process, to your strategies, and to your homework, of course. Ocean Blue, I'm going to start riding a skateboard. Can't afford gas. Yeah, no kidding, Ocean Blue. It's kind of funny you mentioned that, though. When I was a kid, I was actually a sponsored skateboarder. Eddie Horn. Our good friend Eddie Horn is with us today. It's good to see you, Eddie. Hopefully things are good. I am Saint. Okay. Started okay and then just pushed my luck like a fool. We've all done it. Trust me. Just get back up on the horse and stick to your strategy and stick to your process. Jan, bad start, step 1 down 500. Ignored my rules on one trade. Sometimes that's all it takes. Where do you see open interest? Best way to understanding. Miguel, I get the open interest from the CME Group Daily Bulletin. If you go to CME Group and search Daily Bulletin, you'll see the Daily Bulletin. We can take a look at that here shortly, of course. Hello, Richie B. Hope everybody is well. Now, I got a message from Martin, one of our viewers, and thank you, Martin, for the kind words. And yes, the rollover this time is a little bit confusing. Now, I look at an event calendar that's provided by NinjaTrader. Now, NinjaTrader, for the first time ever, has rollover this coming Tuesday, the 14th. Yes, expiration is the 17th. So typically, our rollover is going to be the Thursday before expiration, which would be this coming Thursday. Now, looking at the volume, we had 1,650,000 in the June contract and just over 100,000 in the September contract. I'm not sure if that's saying that the rollover is going to be Tuesday, but I'm not thinking it's going to be higher volume tomorrow in the September contract. So what I'm suggesting is, because I'm not going to be here tomorrow or Friday, make sure you check the volume. If the volume tomorrow is still in the June contract by a considerable amount, just continue to trade the June contract tomorrow. If by the end of the day, volume is relatively even, then I would switch to the September contract on Friday. This is the first time I've seen an equity rollover on a Tuesday, on the Tuesday before the expiration. Does that make sense? So watch the volume. Watch the volume. Watch the volume. When you see the volume has rolled over to the September contract, just take your initiative and go into the September contract. I'm not, with the difference in volume today, that's considerable. So I don't want to jump to September too early because the liquidity is not going to be there. And I don't want to stay in the June contract too long because the liquidity won't be there. So it all depends on the volume. Check your platforms, check the volume. Tomorrow morning, I'm pretty sure we're still going to have considerably higher volume in the June contract. If it evens up by the end of the day or it looks different on Friday, then make the switch on Friday. I'm not sure. I haven't had the chance to really research why they have this on a Tuesday. It's the first time I've seen it. So we'll just have to make sure that we are paying attention to the volume. Always, when it comes to rollover, be checking volume. Okay, I got a Richie B. Hey, everybody. Hope all is well. Eric Hoagland. Are you related to me? Joe, being patient in my quest to pass step 2, 2 losing trades, but no damage because manage risk well. That's good, Joe. You got to keep your discipline. I'm going to remind everybody a few times during this recap because I won't be here tomorrow or Friday for the forecast. Got to stay patient. It's hard to swallow those losses. It's a lot easier swallowing the small losses than the big losses, and it's a lot easier to make those up as well. You think about it, the less you lose, the more you're going to make. I mean, we need some volume if the trading doesn't get better. Well, we can work on the volume, and I'm going to miss you, Vince, the next week and a half. Valium, there you go. I think we get so used to writing futures industry terms like volume. I can understand. Well, you're going to be away for a little bit, and that's going to do you a heck of a lot of good. I'm looking forward to talking to you when you get back and hearing about the vacation and get back and get our feet back on the ground and get back to trading. What else? Well, this week, as far as economic numbers left, we've got jobless claims as usual on Thursday, tomorrow, nat gas tomorrow. That could be an interesting one after what happened in Texas today. We got CPI, Michigan sentiment on Friday, as well as some other smaller stuff. The CPI is what I think we've been waiting for the better part of this week as far as opportunities are concerned. Let's go ahead and take a look through these charts and take a look at what we were thinking this morning. There's some interesting things that we have to look at in these charts here this morning. Now, if you remember, this is the daily in Crude. I didn't really see anything that incited this move to the upside. Vlad, good to see you. We do have structure to the upside. We were kind of wondering if we were starting to slow as far as the continuation to the upside. Well, I think we got our answer today. We pretty decent increase in volume. We are coming into rollover. We've got rollover next Thursday as it's scheduled on the 16th, which we should be really kind of rolling equities, but we've got the third Friday is usually equity expiration, but it's kind of strange with the rollover this time. So again, just watch the volume. Crude is scheduled to roll over on the 16th, so that's a week from tomorrow. So we're already in rollover. We see that we've got a pretty decent up move today. Didn't see anything really in the news. As a matter of fact, we had a 2 million barrel boost in crude stocks here in the U.S., so the market has a tendency to go in the opposite direction. Here we go. Here's the 9 o'clock bar, 9:30 bar. We started pushing higher. We took out last week's high, and we never really looked back. So looking for an opportunity tomorrow or Friday at weekly kickoff high, which again is 124.30, 124.30 up here. And as I just mentioned, we've got, where is that? 148.60, which is the July 2008 high. I hope we're not going there. Otherwise, we may all be riding skateboards. I still have one of my skateboards that the sponsors gave me, again, when I was in junior high. Goodness, I'm good, and I'm hoping you are feeling good and doing well today also. We've got S&Ps now. Let's take a look. We knew we had the late spike at the end of the day yesterday. That gave us at least some reference to deal with. The reference numbers that we looked at did not hold That tends to happen during rollover. We're in range big time here. Even though we lost 1% today, we haven't moved in almost 2 weeks. So we're in rollover, and that has a tendency to happen. We tend to be range bound. Here it is. So we had the market opening below the late spike. The market almost took out the high of the late spike. We were looking at this area here, the base of the late spike. Let me get my numbers out here. 41.52, and the start of the late spike, 41.48, 49. So this area here was an area of importance that we were kind of focusing on for opportunities. In rollover, the market goes through it. Finally, we get this market to capitulate and follow what the open below the late spike was telling us, and that the market is accepting lower pricing. Boy, it sure fought it. Now, this line here is the balance area, value area high. This red line here is the value area, the balance area, value area low. We traded to one, we traded to the other. So we watched this morning, and we looked at this, and we said, well, this market seems to need some repair in the longer time frame, because we've got kind of an uneven bell curve. And when this bell curve evens out, I think we'll be a lot closer to finding some directional activity away from this balance area. So as long as we're in this area of balance, we're fading the extremes, buyers here, sellers up here, until it doesn't work. We've got to be able to break out and find some volume outside of this area before we're going to go with any breakouts. I don't see that happening during rollover unless something changes, unless the world gets even crazier than it is. Donkey Mart, yes, you can pick your own. Eddie, that's classic. Hey, Vince, mostly I trade the S&Ps. Once in a while, I when I see something in the profiles or when I see something contextual in another market, I will get involved. Most of the time, my daily bread is the S&Ps. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ, which is almost, a very similar situation, but always just a little different. We're still range bound. No change there. Our late spike was here. The base was, I got my numbers here. The base of the late spike was 12,703, and the start of the late spike was 126.83. Here's the base. Here's the start of it. We opened below it, indicating acceptance of lower pricing. This market actually took out the high of the late spike, couldn't continue, and finally we get the roll. It's in rollover, and it rolled over. Basically, value high from yesterday, value low from yesterday. So even that late spike, even if it doesn't happen directly, the late spikes have a tendency to have the day resolve in that direction. We opened below the late spike, the day resolved lower. And gold, yuan, still range bound, still short time frame control. What basic short time frame levels did it adhere to today? Okay, the market opened. We kind of left value low at near the low. This is overnight low, value opening back into value, through value, continuation to value area high from Friday. And these markets are so visual, they do tend to trade to visual areas that short time frame traders look at, because we're in short time frame control. We are very, very range bound. So there's a big yawn here for our gold. Similar situation for euro range. We are going from west to east. You best drive in the afternoon because the sun will be behind you. Here's the 30. Now, we did not close the gap, so we did get a pretty decent move higher, But by the end of the day, we came back down and closed the gap, which keeps us range bound. Looking forward to some movement here. The 10-year. Here's the daily. There you go. The 2 in range inside extended trading hour range from yesterday. Centrally located to weekly kickoff high and low. Flirting with last week's low. Here's the 30. Opening with a gap. Closing the gap. Trading to value area low from yesterday. No acceptance of value. Value area special situation play. Don't get acceptance. Go the other way. We had the opportunity to see a move to the downside. I've got too much time on this. One more. And here's that nat gas move today. Holy smokles. This market was really set up to continue this move to the upside, but that was a shocker to the system and a boost in nat gas here in the U.S., but it's going to be more of a squeeze on those in Europe and in Asia. So that was, look at this move. Boy, the market's going higher, going higher. We were looking for it to go higher, but an event came and blew us out of the water. Be interesting to see what kind of open interest we bring into this tomorrow. Speaking of open interest, this is the bulletin. So I'm going to put the link to the bulletin in the chat here in YouTube for you. And here's what you do. If you're trading equities, it's page 11, equities. In the morning, you're going to see preliminary. At this time of day, if I refresh this page, I'm going to see final. And now I'm going to be able to see the correct open interest change. This morning, the preliminary said we were close to 11,000 of an increase in open interest. Came out to be 4,500. Sometimes they're pretty far off, but that's all we have to deal with because the exchange is the only thing that can tally the total number of contracts that are out there. Joe, if you're questioning the news about nat gas, there was an explosion in Texas at a plant, Freeport, Texas, at a plant that prepares liquid natural gas for export. So the fact that if the ability for it not to continue to export means we're going to have perhaps a little increase of natural gas here in the U.S. So, but here's your open interest. We're in rollover. We've got 2,160,000 in open interest in the front month. We've got almost less than 90,000. Now that's going to change drastically in the next few days. So when I'm collecting the open interest information, I collect the total E-mini S&P futures. I collect the total volume and the total open interest. And there's a reason this is important, particularly in a product like crude oil. Here's the preliminary. Okay, the preliminary says we lost 32,847. What does the final say? 31,800 or 33,882. So this was pretty close. But when we are looking at the open interest in a product that trades as far out as crude oil, look at the open interest. I mean, even out to December 23. How about December 24? I mean, we've got 45,000, almost 45,000 in open interest that far out. If I'm only collecting the open interest from the front month and it rolls over every month, I'm going to get a whole different picture than if I'm looking at the total open interest and the net change in the open interest. So I'm always collecting the total volume of all of the contract months, the total open interest of all of the contract months and the net change of all of the net of the net all of the open interest net change. All right. Now, if you're wondering how to collect and decipher that information, please come to group coaching next week on Monday or Wednesday and ask. I've got slides and I can show you how I collect that information, how I make it look, and how I occasionally am able to use it to make a pretty accurate assumption of the success or failure of the auction process. And that's really what the open interest and volume is just a part of the auction process. Volume is the driver of price. Price is just the advertising mechanism. Open interest is the total number of outstanding contracts. So by paying attention to volume and open interest, you can kind of get a sense of whether money is moving into or out of a particular product in a particular direction. Okay. You're welcome, Brody. No problem. What happened in this day in history? 1968, Robert F. Kennedy was buried. I try and keep this positive, but sometimes it's hard. 1966, the NFL and the AFL announce a merger, hence creating the Super Bowl. 1949, on this date, George Orwell's 1984 was published. Yee. And on this day in 1984, Ghostbusters was released. Who are you going to call? (1948) on this day, the first Porsche is completed. It's kind of hard to believe that Porsche started in 1948. They seem like they've been at it a lot longer than that. As far as music concerned, today is Nancy Sinatra's birthday. She was born in 1940, so I don't imagine her boots are doing much walking these days. 1967, Procol Harum were number one on the UK singles chart with A Whiter Shade of Pale. Great song. Today, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band went to number one in the UK, costing about $42,500 to produce. The album was recorded over 700 hours of studio time. Holy cow, that's a lot. Today's Boz Scaggs' birthday, 1944. Boz was a cool dude. The Lido Shuffle. 1974, Dolly Parton was at number one on the U.S. country chart with I Will Always Love You. Obviously, we all know that Whitney Houston made a bigger hit out of it in 1992, but Dolly was the actual writer of that song. I think Dolly just about wrote every song that Carole King didn't. Today's Kanye West's birthday. He was born in 1977. In 2003, Led Zeppelin was number one on the U.S. album chart with their triple live album, How the West Was Won. The band's seventh number one hit album, even though the band had been long broken up. The performances were from the band's 1972 tour of the United States. And that's about enough of that. That's who I'm going to call. There you go. All right. Thanks, Eddie. Nobody. Hello. Hello. Nobody. But I think you're somebody. I think you're somebody. All right, folks. That's it for me for the week. We will be looking forward to seeing you back on the market forecast Monday morning at 7:45. I will be thinking about you. I will be thinking about the markets. Probably not all that involved, but I will certainly be keeping an eye on it in the S&Ps, the NASDAQ, in the equities. Keep your eye on volume. It's a little confusing as to where and when switch day is going to be. And be good. Be good to yourselves. Stick with your process. Manage your risk. Be kind to yourself. That negative self-talk isn't going to help anything. Open interest important for oil or equities? Not so much, too. Not so. Open interest is important to any futures or options contract because we're in a zero-sum game here. We can get an idea of what our bigger players are doing by keeping an eye on volume and open interest. So Ocean Blue, definitely come and join us for group coaching one of these days, and you'll have the opportunity to ask that question. And I've got all kinds of information that I can provide for you on how to look at and how to collect that information. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in for group coaching. You can check it out on Monday when I'm back. We'll be doing all that. There's the group coaching link so you can register and be ready to ask your questions on Monday. But as for me, I am going to step away for a couple of days. I, again, will miss you. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Keep praying for world peace. Blessings to you all. Again, I'm going to miss you. I hope you don't miss me too much. Have a great few days. Take care.